Soul Scripts presents Conversations with Your Higher Self. Hi, I'm Alleson Gregary, and today we have Ashmi Pathela, and she is an artist, an author, who started a career in Silicon Valley but decided to follow her heart. During her travels, she experienced an awakening that led to her questioning everything about reality. She was shocked to find out millions were going through the same thing. Her book, Awakening the Heart of Humanity, is a tribute to this unprecedented time and global awakening. Hi, Ashmi. Welcome. So great to have you here.
Hi, Allison. Thank you for
And
having me.
you bet. It's like 6 a.m. here, and it's what time where you are?
6 p.m. So we're exactly on opposite corners.
Nice. I'm in Florida. She's in Australia, and this is wonderful. Welcome. So great to have you here. So let's start with this this awakening as you were in corporate America, Silicon Valley, the heart of probably everything in corporate America that goes on. What started this transformation for you? How did that come about?
I didn't plan on it. It was like I was launched into it. And I think a lot of people can relate. It's like when you've hit rock bottom, it's like everything is screaming at you to make a change. And I was in that spot in Silicon Valley, is just burning out, working so many hours, working on weekends and waking up with heart palpitations and anxiety. And I had really kind of sold my soul to my company. And that was all that was, part of my life, and my goals and dreams were all focused on that. And there came a point where I just couldn't see happiness anymore, even just looking at my industry and the people who are thriving in it. It was like, is this really what I want? And I started questioning what true happiness and success means to me. And it led me to leave Silicon Valley, travel the world, where I spent a lot of time more introspective and asking myself the hard questions of what is it that I really want. And through so many synchronicities and finding out all these different books and rabbit holes, I really went deep into the depths of my own soul and the magic of the universe, and things started opening up faster and faster. And it was like this whole new world or dimension that I was more in tune with as a kid, and I'd forgotten for so long in my career. That kind of started coming back to me, and it was like, that's my true curiosity, like the esoteric and what you can't really see with your eyes, the power of the mind and our soul and the universe. The things I used to think were too woo-woo for me to even look at in my career, I allowed myself to open to that side of myself again. And yeah, there was no looking back.
So when you say look back to that side of yourself again, tell me about the young Ashmi.
Yeah, wow. I was very much dorky, connected to my heart and such a free spirit. But I also knew the power of manifesting. So it was crazy weird how I would set a goal or just dream or something I want to achieve, and it would happen. And it happened so many times for things big and small that I was like, wait, there's something here. Like, I knew the power of my ability to create at that age. And I was very enthralled by it. And of course, it was still kind of focused on the outer world of what do I want to manifest. But that beauty was still within me. And that's kind of that zest for life, or the wonder for what's beyond what we're taught about, that started at a very young age for me. So yeah, it was very much alive for me. But then I think in school and in your career, you kind of get lost. And the more you are in the fight or flight response, or the stress, the mind of things, you kind of get disconnected from your heart and intuition, and even the voice of my higher self. So I love the series you have, because my journey has been about reconnecting with my true voice, my true essence, my higher self, and creating my life from that space of pure alignment with who I am. And of course, it's always evolving, but I feel like instead of reaching outward to try to become something because I'm not good enough, I started trusting my essence and who I already am, and uncovering all the layers of kind of programming and limiting beliefs that kept me from seeing my true inherent value and gifts, which everyone has.
Wow. You are an old soul, and I'm just going to share this with everyone real quick, because so much, I just love your posts on Instagram, and so much wisdom comes out of them, and you clearly are channeling or tapping into something here. Here's one that I found from a while ago. How many coincidences do we need to experience until you wake up and see it was never a coincidence? In this life, nothing is by chance, nothing is an accident, nothing is a waste. It appears that way when you are not aware of the power of your consciousness, the connectedness of it all, the fact you are energy and you are not separate from anything. The more you realize the effect and the consciousness has on your reality, the more life becomes a lucid dream. You are the dreamer, the creator, and the dream. Wow. Wow. Your writing is so connected. What do you attribute that to?
Thank you so much. Well, I feel like we all have that voice and that ability to connect, but we have so much of the mind and kind of layers of fears or whatever it is, not trusting ourselves enough, being afraid to speak our truth, probably from many lifetimes of being persecuted for being ourselves, that you have to almost let go of the mind to allow this voice to come out. And the more you don't question it, the more it flows. So for me, I used to journal a lot from age 8, and there was always this point where I would get to the bottom of the page and this voice of wisdom or a higher perspective would come through, and it always calmed me. So it was so therapeutic for me. But so I knew that voice and that ability to tune in while writing was there for me. And other people have this through maybe singing or art or drawing, or, you know, everyone channels differently and it looks unique to each person. But for me, that's when I felt the most connected and my heart's opening, when I'm in that flow state. And actually, during my career in Silicon Valley, I was totally overworked, didn't really have much space for social life or even my hobbies, but I did make time to go to a cafe after work, and sometimes it was like 10 p.m. late at night, and I would write. And that was my kind of moment of taking back my own power, or like, this is something I'm doing for myself, not for a blog or the world yet, but just for me to tune into my spirit again. And even though I was so exhausted in my career, those were the times I felt the most alive, or that spark of like, there's something greater for me. It's not just, you know, alive, like, of course, with friends, you can get a boost, but it's not, it's something much more deep. And it's like you're tuning into your life force. And in the beginning, it was way clunkier. So sometimes I get hit with inspiration, or I'd have to try to force something out. But whenever I was like in nature walking or right before bed, these few words or sentences would come through, and I just quickly jot them down. And it was like it was just being channeled. And those happen few and far between in the beginning. But the more you actually practice it, the more you kind of oil the muscle and you allow yourself to just step out of the way and allow it to come through. So now it's more second nature, and I don't try to write, or I don't sit down to write. I just rush to record the words as they come through whenever it hits. Yeah.
Wow. That's the ultimate flow state. Flow state is such a magical place to be, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just love it.
It feels like you're connected to spirit, and that's what it is. Like there's something greater for all of us, or we are greater than what we believe or we're taught. So, yeah.
And it can come in any form too, which is beautiful. I was able to get into it. I mean, there are certain times in my life where I'm just like, I was so in it, you know, like once we had a condo fall through and we were looking for another one and we only had a few days, and I'm like, it's going to come. I'm just going to ease into it and just feel it. And like that day it came, for my son, his flow state skateboarding. I mean, he just gets into this zone, and athletes do that a lot. It's the zone, which is the flow state. Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't mean it's easy all the time, because even when you step into your alignment or your path or take that leap of faith, all your doubts and fears will come up. And it wasn't like, oh, now I'm confident. No, it's like you're going to feel all your traumas, your fears of being seen, you're second guessing yourself. It can be the time where you feel the most in doubt, because kind of when you're in kind of the matrix or the routine or your conventional job, you're not really stepped out of your comfort zone. So you don't need to face yourself as much. But when you start asking yourself, what is it that I really want? You're really being called to walk through that rite of passage or that fire of your deepest fears from childhood or even before that. And it is an initiation almost. And you keep going despite the fear. And with each new like baby step, you might feel a new sense of empowerment, but also it can come with another set of fears. Like for me, my first massive fear was even just posting that I had a blog, and having someone read one article was so scary for me. And now it's like I post every day and it's nothing. But with every new layer you go into yourself, it's like the biggest fear for me was the fear of being seen and judged. And underneath that was with a fear of me not fully seeing and loving myself. So you think it's about the world, but it's actually about yourself. It's between you and you. Yeah.
I think you're really hit on something, because that's the thing a lot of people in the spiritual community, I think, have when they're first like coming out, so to speak. It's like, oh, my friends are going to judge me. What are they going to think of me? They're going to think I went crazy or something. What would you say is the biggest thing that helped you push through that?
Yeah, with awakening, it is like you're losing your mind to find the soul. And often we're the black sheep in the family, and you're not going to find many friends in your usual circle or family members who understand what you're going through. And so for me, it was actually, it was 2018 and end of 2017 in Thailand while I was traveling. And all of these downloads started coming through, and I was like, life was more like a lucid dream, because I was starting to open my eyes to the magic of it all. And I went down so many dark rabbit holes as well about learning about the truths of the outer world. And it's like getting paranoid, like no one else knows, like none of my friends know, like, is this real? Like, but deep down, you kind of know, like, it feels true in your heart. And when your eyes, like the world you've kind of seen and believed with your eyes and mind, when you realize that that was just a facade or an illusion, there's something much greater going on here. It is crazy. You're like, what can I trust? Like, can I trust myself? Like, what's going on? So, well, what helped me was meditating and balancing the time I spent looking into the outer world and learning things with connecting with my own spirit or nature. And that's where I felt the most calm. Sitting in nature, feeling the grass, feeling the truth of the trees. Nature is the most purest, uncorrupted part of the matrix. So it actually is transcending and beyond the matrix. So come back to your true spirit and you will feel this sense of peace of like, okay, even with this chaotic thing and all the transformations happening in my DNA and my brain, there's something even bigger than that, which is spirit and oneness and consciousness, and everything is perfect the way it is, and it's all unfolding for your highest expansion. So that's what helped me. And also letting go of the need for my friends and family to understand and accept me, because the fear is like, oh, they don't understand, they don't accept me. But the question is, do you really accept and love yourself? Like, where is this fear, this need coming from? And if you truly were at peace with yourself, you really wouldn't need anything around you to change to give you that. So yeah, I think even when you're being pushed to the limit, because so many people are feeling this right now, it's always an invitation to look deeper into yourself and look at what in you is asking to be loved by you.
Wow.
Mm.
That's powerful. That's a powerful statement.
Mm.
What kind of response did you get from your friends and family as you embarked on this journey? Because it's pretty drastic, you know, going from this incredible career, as some would view it in the Matrix, to just leaving it all behind and walking away.
That's such a good question. I feel like the true friends who have seen my heart, and the friends from my early childhood, they love and accept me as I am, because it was never about what you believe. They love me for my essence and my soul. And no matter what I say, I feel like there's a mutual love there. And it doesn't mean we talk all the time, but whenever our paths kind of weave back, there's that love, and I can feel that. But a lot of my ego-based or mind-based friendships or acquaintances or colleagues, a lot of them just naturally drifted away. And I haven't really spent much time tuning into it, but I feel like when you start walking your path into your alignment and joy, it can threaten the people you've left, because they might judge you, or they might feel like the light you're shining triggers something in them that they want, right? But it's really, and they might think I'm judging them because it's like, look at me, but it's actually like, I'm so content following my path and living my life, and I've shifted so much. I can barely remember the version of me that knew them in 2017 or 18. My consciousness is not there anymore, so it's like I just send them love, but I feel like, yeah, people are not judging you as much as you think they are. And you kind of just have to do you. And as long as you're living and coming from a place of love, as long as you're creating with love or speaking with love, there's nothing you can do wrong. Like, if people judge you for that, that's on them. It's like, my intentions are pure, and that's all you can do. So it's pretty natural when you go through an awakening to lose your old friends and family. But I feel like you also gain a whole new frequency or tribe of people. Like we met just through Instagram, right? And I've had such amazing conversations, because the more I connect with myself and the more I'm unafraid to be seen exactly as I am and to just let my true colors show, the more I can attract or connect with people who speak the same language or have the same soul song, the same signature.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So when you embarked on your travels after you left the corporate world, there must have been some mystical and magical experiences that happened to you that really shifted you big. Can you share any of those?
Wow. How crazy do you want to go?
Crazy. Totally crazy all the
really
way.
Crazy? Yeah. It's so hard for me to even just explain, but so I was starting to open up to synchronicity again. And it wasn't just like, oh, I want to manifest this. It was more seeing the divine flow and the fluid nature of this reality. The fact that your consciousness literally affects the reality you perceive or the timeline you call in. And I was reading books also because as an analytical person, I needed my brain to also understand. So I was like reading about quantum reality and how this reality is a holographic projection of your own frequency, and how literally everything feels solid, but it's actually so fluid and malleable. And that started just making everything feel way more lucid. And I was playing and experimenting in that energy, like just to prove to myself. So I was like, okay, today I'm going to manifest seeing white rabbits. And I was walking around in Thailand, and literally there was a white rabbit sticker, dolls, little like salt shakers. And I saw white rabbits like 50 times in a day, to the point where I was like, okay, stop. I was like,
no more.
Okay. But I knew it works with things you're not as attached to. So obviously, like if you're like, I want to manifest love, and you have a lot more desire around that, and desperation or fear, or, you know, lots more baggage, it's not going to happen as easily. But with little things, you can start playing with your ability to create and call things in, even just fun interactions with meeting friends and stuff. But then I don't know if you've heard of the Mandela effect.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
The craziest thing, yeah, in my life to happen was realizing like things in my reality that I remembered from childhood were actually had changed in this new reality I found myself in. So like there's like hundreds of examples, but I think it has to do with the collective consciousness and how things can shift, or also maybe I've jumped to another timeline. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like, okay, in my childhood, the famous children's book with the bears,
Bernstein and Bernstein.
Yeah, so I swear on my life, it's Bernstein Bears.
Yeah,
like,
it
of
is.
course, like it's like Disney, Mickey Mouse, Bernstein Bears. Well, Google it. It's Bernstein Bears now in this reality, and things like this, like B with a AIN, not EIN. And it was so trippy to me because it wasn't just an internet change or they changed their name. It's like your old childhood books have also changed, as if it's always been Bernstein.
Isn't that crazy?
So I was like, what else is, and this is same with famous paintings or movie lines. And it just made me really, like, I couldn't sleep because I was like, what is this reality? It's crazy. Yeah. So, that was one that really woke me up to like realizing it was just a doorway, but it was like this world, there's so many more things that you don't know. Because in Silicon Valley, I was like, I know so much, you know, and I'm smart. And no, I didn't know anything. And awakening is kind of humbling because it makes you see how much we have to unlearn, not just about the outer world, but also about your own self and your own beliefs.
That's so true. I just love how you just dive into life and just play.
Yeah.
I mean, really, everything you're doing is just, you know, well, let's try this. Let's try that. What about this? It's so beautiful. Now
it's easier when you're traveling.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Now you had talked about manifesting, you know, like it's easier to manifest the simple things, but you know, the harder things like love. Now there's a man in your life that I've noticed on Instagram named Joel. How did that come to be?
Synchronicity.
Beautiful. I'd love to hear the story.
So yeah, I feel like I've always felt ready for the one, or, you know, yearning for it, from like age 25, right? But when I was traveling in Bali, I was in such a different state of prioritizing my inner healing journey and working on my healing my inner child, and childhood traumas, and also loving myself. Because I used to think I loved myself, but it was more, I love myself when I'm achieving and when I look good, when I feel good about myself. But yeah, it was like there was so much under the veil that I wasn't looking at, and even becoming more gentle with myself through feeling emotions, or, you know, needing to cry it out, and allowing myself to send that love back to my inner child who didn't really feel loved and seen. It was so powerful. And I was in a state of like finally feeling that reflected back to me from the whole universe. And I was just so high on life in Bali, to the point where I was like smiling at strangers in the street and they would smile back. And I was just in an open state of just wanting to be love and spread that. That was just my frequency at the time. And I had stopped needing a partner from a place of like, I need someone so that I can be happy or feel whole. It was more, I felt a readiness. Like I want to share my life with someone. I want to give my love to someone. I want that reflected back to me. And it's also crazy because there's a spirit festival in Bali every year called Bali Spirit Fest. And I was just open to everything at that point. So I booked like a palm reader and a tarot card reader back to back, both of them. And the palm reader is like super famous from Singapore, and he reads celebrities on TV. But both of them separately said essentially the same thing in their own words, and they don't even know each other. So they were both like, yeah, love is coming right around the corner, like you're ready, and it's going to be someone a little bit older, and you're going to be the one to initiate. And you have to be more in your feminine also, like just let it flow, but you'll probably be the first one to say something. As I got chills, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening. And literally 24 hours later,
Oh my gosh.
literally, I'm sitting, I'm actually like trying to go to a cafe. And in Bali, I practice this, which is what is my highest excitement right now, and listening to my intuition and following the first ping or the first thought that comes. So it's like, if it might be like completely different to your usual routine. And I had the intuitive hit to go to another cafe. So I actually changed course and went to another cafe earlier than I normally eat. It's only like 5. And I sat there with my book, and about an hour later, because I had a book, so I was able to sit there longer, Joel walks in, and instantly I see this like, it's like a white energy around him. And my first, it was like a clear gut instinct to like, I need to talk to him. And it wasn't like, oh, I want to date him, or, oh, I need to get his number. It's more like, that energy feels so beautiful and familiar, and it was just magnetic to me. And luckily, he ended up sitting near me, and we ended up chatting and seeing that he was wearing the wristband for Spirit Fest. So we were able to see each other, and we were pretty inseparable after our first date. So yeah, it was through synchronicity that I met him, and it feels perfect the way it unfolded.
That's so beautiful.
Magic.
So how long ago was this that you guys met?
3 years ago, I think.
Okay.
A little over 3 years, yeah. In Bali, and he was in Perth, so we were long distance for a bit. But he's also, you know, stepping into, he's been on his spiritual journey kind of through a different route, through depression in his early 20s and 30s. And we both kind of met when we were in the right energy resonance, because I probably wouldn't have we wouldn't have crossed paths, obviously, if I had stayed in Silicon Valley. But even then, my energy, like I was looking more for a totally different kind of person, like a Silicon Valley workaholic founder. And so it's amazing how much your life can change the more you step into your truth and follow the true energy of your essence.
The thing that drove you out of Silicon Valley, was it just not feeling like you were yourself?
There was both a push to get out because of my anxiety and suffocation and not feeling fulfilled. But the greater reason was actually a desire to travel and see the world and make the most of my youth and feel free again. And yeah, to kind of create the life of my dreams. That's always been part of my DNA. But I loved, you know, I'd admire like digital nomads. I thought that was so cool. You could travel and work and do what you want. And I think these nuggets of like awe, or it could be envy, but it's a little bit of awe when you see someone doing something you wish you could do. They actually become part of the like energetic vision board of what is a possible timeline you can actually step into. So pay attention when you feel that awe or envy, because a lot of people might just be close the door there thinking like, oh, that hurts, like I'm jealous. But it's actually, you're jealous because it's something that's a potential for you and something your soul wants.
Oh, that's so perfect.
So yeah.
And let's talk a bit about that energetic vision board, because that is so true. And right now, with everything manifesting so quickly, it's really important to have that awareness of what's coming into your field and how you're responding to it, and thoughts that you're carrying with you. How would you coach somebody to work with that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially when they're seeking help or coaching, they're focused on what's not working or what they don't like. But your consciousness is so powerful that you want to shift a little bit of your focus more into what you do want, and not what you want from how it looks, but how it feels. And can you tune into even 1% more of that feeling in your heart and your being, like when you're sitting in meditation or nature, because that's what will draw it closer to you, and you can actually leapfrog timelines or collapse realities and draw it to you so much faster than your brain even thinks is possible. So one example is like, what's a good example? So for love, let's just say for love, you want like a partner and you have the checklist of what you want, but it's actually like the feeling of what does that relationship feel like? How do you want to be? You know, what qualities do you want to feel in you? And can you start giving yourself a bit more of that? You know, it's like if you want to feel cherished and you're lacking that in your life, can you cherish yourself a bit more and give yourself that love? Because it's truly like an energetic mirror of what comes back. And if you're more focused on the physical of how it looks or the physical lack of it in your life, you're always going to feel that lack. But if you start kind of tuning into the energy of your future self and acting as if you're already in that state of how you want to feel, you really can collapse timelines. And kind of my artist journey happened like that. It felt like something I would do when I'm retired, or, you know, like I can't do it now. I can probably do it 30 years from now. But when I practiced this tool, it came in within 2 weeks in a way that is beyond me. And that just showed me how powerful we all are.
Let's talk a little bit about your art, because I see some of it behind you. How did that start unfolding for you?
Yeah, so I've always been an artist at heart. So I've, loved painting as a kid, and I took oil painting lessons when I was 8. And actually, that was my first job. I was an oil painting teacher when I was like 15, and I would teach adults and children. It was like a summer job, but I stopped painting for, I think, 10 years straight in college and my career, and didn't even pick up a paintbrush. But I was practicing feeling into like, what do I want to be? How do I want to feel? And I remembered that at age 8, I wrote down in my journal, I'm an artist and author. And at this point, I just moved to Australia, and I was neither of those things, right? I was still freelancing for Silicon Valley entrepreneurs and consulting and stuff. But I always felt like that chapter was ending, and I have this like one foot in that door and one foot reaching out to where I want to go, but I'm too afraid to even think it's possible. So with manifestation, this is a beautiful kind of mantra that works for me, is follow your highest excitement. This is from Bashar, with no attachment to the outcome. And no matter what happens, whether it appears positive or negative, assign positive meaning to it. Keep expecting it to unfold for you, because it is, and keep following the nuggets. So for me, it's like, okay, I just want to paint. Like, there's no attachment to it being going anywhere. And I painted this one right behind me, this lotus. And yeah, and then I just listened to my intuition. I wasn't really trying to make it anything, but there was a Facebook group with lots of it was a spiritual Facebook group, and just for fun, I was like, here you go, I painted this. It was inspired in a meditation, and it went viral. It got like 2,000, 3,000 comments in a day, and got shared around, and then people started like commenting like, can I buy it? Like, do you sell prints? And all of a sudden it's like the momentum came and I was like, I can sell paintings, like I can make prints, and it's actually not as hard as you think. Like you just have to find a really good printer and do the process. But 2 weeks before that, I had started kind of envisioning myself as an artist, and it was like, oh, it'd be fun to have my own website, have my prints on there from the heart. And I pictured myself writing a thank you note to someone who ordered my art, and just picture that gratitude. And I actually pictured someone specific, my friend Dorina in Holland, and I thanked her for getting my print. And literally 3 weeks later, we're catching up, and she's like, I just saw that you have a new website with prints. I want to order one. So I was actually literally writing her a thank you note, the same one I envisioned, with I didn't tell her about it. She came to me. So what you do is you picture your future self and how that future self would act. And my dog just ran over my ears.
There's something going on here because my cat keeps coming in too. I'm like,
yeah,
some great energy going on, right?
Yeah. So picture how your future self would act, think, be, and pretend like you're a kid again. So even if you're not an artist, an author, what would you do if you were? And it's like, oh, I would write thank you notes. I would research what's the best paper to print on, be in the energy of it in a way that's really fun to you. And I would actually like start thinking more of ideas for art or whatever it is. And then it kind of, you're becoming closer, like an energetic match to that future self. You're holding the energy or the feelings of that future that is actually a timeline available to you. And then the two can kind of meet, or then you can draw to you the ideas, opportunities, people, resources to make it happen. It is truly magical. And actually talking about it reminds me like, okay, I can do it again now. But yeah. I feel like I'm in a spot now where, just one more thing, is a spot now where I'm not trying to actively manifest and pull things in. I'm just being more content and at one with what already is in my present. And I was told by a kinesiologist, or she's much bigger than that, she's like a magic woman. She's like, your frequency is one of optimism and joy, optimism and hope and intention, but that still ties you into an energy of excitement for the future. Like you're behind the optimism, there's a little fear of like, if I don't hold on to this vision, it might not happen. So she said the next frequency available for you is oneness and joy. Do you feel the difference? It's like, I'm already one with it. I'm already feeling so much joy with what's here, and that can only, like, there's a deeper trust. Like you don't need to be hopeful, you just are content. So I'm practicing that now.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that vision for your future. What do you see? Because I know you guys are trying to undertake some beautiful things in Australia.
So my partner and I, last year, we bought 50 acres of land, and it's in this beautiful forest by the sea in Southwest Australia. It's more of a spiritual community, or you can feel there's an alternative community and lots of artists and fresh young faces moving in. But both of us kind of are on this journey back to ourselves and our heart, and nothing is more important than how we feel. Like really just coming back to unwinding our nervous system and truly being present and creating from that joy and oneness that I just talked about. And he had also quit his job last year, and he's working such crazy hours as well. So this past year has been really about our inward journey, and of course, so much purging and things we were burying underneath have come up. But we're also feeling much more calm and grounded in our being, and yeah, just back to our natural self. Clearing the layers of density and the fears and the traumas that have really held us into a lower vibration. And we have huge plans for this land. So in the future, we'd love to make a retreat space, a temple space for circles and retreats and ceremony. And he loves food, so we might have a holistic cafe and cacao and all that. But more important than that, I think, is truly just coming back to our hearts and letting that just emanate in everything we do. And there's so many chores and things to do to maintain the land, but instead of forcing it from the mind of like another to-do list or another place that you're resisting, can we really like honor ourselves and what our being is calling us to do? And for 4 or 5 months, it was to slow down and do nothing, literally from the conventional sense, to the point where now we're in a state where we feel way more like fueled from the inside out. We're connected to our life force more days than not. And it's becoming easier to start moving outward and getting things done from a place of presence and becoming more involved in the community and hosting things. And I think it's an unlearning of the mind way of being and truly trying to embody, because we know all this, but it's another thing to actually embody what you know. Like we know the power of presence and not rushing and just being content here and then creating from that space, but actually practicing it is so hard. Yes. Until it gets easy, it's hard. Yeah.
So Ashmi, let's talk a little bit about your book. It's so beautiful. And then what other offerings do you have that people might like to hear about?
Yeah, so my book is also another creation from the heart. And it's actually, the cover is that painting over there. I actually have the copy here. Let's see. And it's called Awakening the Heart of Humanity. And it's really about this unprecedented time we're in right now, and remembering the power and magic that we are and coming back to our true essence. And I wrote this really out of love for what we're going through as a species, but also as a capsule I want to be able to pass on to my future children and look back on, because it really captures the energy of what we're in and how powerful we are, and just the monumental aspect of what we're actually doing, ascending ourselves, awakening ourselves, and awakening the whole world in the process. So yeah, it is my heart and soul, and there's artwork in there and also words from the heart.
Beautiful. Now, do you do any other, I thought I read something about coaching. Do you do coaching too?
It's so funny you asked. So like, I used to do coaching, and it was really beautiful at the time because it was a way for me to drop in deeper one-on-one and hold space and reflect back. And it really felt like an energetic exchange where someone's just trying to find that frequency within themselves so they can empower themselves. But for me, where I'm at now, I feel like I'm trying to move away from the conventional ways of being. And part of that's also being tied to a schedule, and also the idea of having someone need me for 3 to 6 months doesn't resonate with me as much anymore. So what I'm doing now is I do one-on-one sessions, just one-offs. So, because I feel like it can be pure gold, and I can see what needs to be said, and we can really go deep in one session. But I really want it to be more about giving people that reflection or that boost to find that empowerment in themselves and remember their true nature. And then they can go off in their world. And if they need another session, they can come back later, but it's not like you need me, because I really don't. I feel like we've all shifted so much to the point where we are truly learning how to step into our own power.
So beautiful. Ashmi, it was beautiful to have you on today. Thank you so much for honoring us.
Thank you so much, Allison. It's beautiful to chat with you, and thank you for asking such intuitive questions. It's so nice to reflect.
I love that. Thank you. And would love to have you on again someday.
Oh, thank you.
All right, my dear, you have a fabulous evening.
Thank you so much. That was so fun.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.